everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and check out our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. And finally, check out our new Altar Sleeves. Get your custom sleeve image of the Magic Mics crew at AltarSleeves.com/MagicMics. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Erin Campbell.
How's it going?
Ruben Bressler.
Class is in session, everybody. I'm excited to talk about this show, and I decided to dress up as a professor because it's also April Fool's.
There you go. Well, we kick it off with the first pick and giveaway. Get your chance at a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat, but subscribe first to get 2 chances to win. And don't forget our raid at the end of the show to support a member of the community. Enter your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight, and stick around so you can raid them.
That's twice as many chances.
There's so many chances.
If my calculations are well. All right.
Well, we have the beauty.
I have no idea what's going on.
All right. We have the beauty of being able to see, have a spoiler, hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, hashtag free preview. Thanks, Wizards, for the absolute 100% free preview. Yes. And, you know, this one was a sweet one. It's been a couple sets since we've gotten one. No.
Okay. And believe me, Evan is keeping track.
Yeah, Evan's got a. It's like Steve Buscemi's character in like that one. I forget what movie it is. I think it's Little Nicky, where he's like keeping track of all the people that have wronged him, and he's like keeping track of the sets since we've had a free preview, and it's like, oh, finally got one. Crosses a name off
Ruben
the
and I
list.
Ruben and I understand that we've had a really nice run. We've received over 25 to 30 preview cards since we've been on the show. You know, we understand that there are other people who haven't had a bite at the apple. Right. Evan takes it so personally.
And also,
goodness gracious, I don't like go cry at night. Like, it's fine.
It was close.
Well, the first time it was close, okay? The first time, that one stung pretty hard, not gonna lie. But, you know,
to be fair, 12 years, every 3 months you get a preview card, you expect something. And it was like a shot through the heart, and Wizards was to blame, right? So
it was giving previews a bad name, and that's where I was in the middle of that, and that hurt me. Okay, so look, we're giving people time to get in here so you can check it out. This is one of the last rares of the set, which is cool. Wizards was also cool enough to say that we were originally going to preview this yesterday.
Yes.
But we're like, yo, we moved the show because of you, so could we move the preview? And they said okay.
Very good sports.
But so far, the set is looking pretty neat. Nothing looks completely busted or dumb. There's no companion-esque level problem that's staring us in the face. But what we do have is a brand new Phoenix. We get to bring to you a Phoenix that does something incredibly cool and unique. Check out, here we go, Retriever Phoenix. Retriever Phoenix is a red and 3 generic mana for a 2/2 rare Phoenix with flying and haste. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you learn. That means you may reveal a lesson card from outside the game and put it into your hand, or discard a card to draw a card. As long as Retriever Phoenix is in your graveyard, if you would learn, this is interesting, this is a replacement ability, if you would learn, you may instead return it to the battlefield.
I'm a fan.
Very cool. To the battlefield. That's where we need to go. Not to the hand.
Very interesting card. And turns out, because we have seen a lot of cards in the set already, singularly unique. I have not seen another card that says, if you would learn, do something instead. Typically, the learn cards are like, you can either rummage or you can get a lesson. Right. This says you can also get a Phoenix back and put it into play, which is a huge deal. It has haste, which is nice. It works well with other learn cards because you can discard this. I think that this card has a chance of being a standard playable card.
Yeah, I'm always excited about cards that you can get from the graveyard without paying full price. So the minute I saw this card, I was like, and I was just, it was hard for me to keep this one in. And I've been focused on the learn ability ever since the cards got previewed. And there's a lot of neat graveyard toys in colors you wouldn't expect from this set. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, this is a card that has a lot of potential. I feel like if there's sort of a learn value deck in there somewhere, this would be a part of it, because you need to kind of have those value chains of, I get this, and I get the Phoenix, and I play the spell, and I do the boom, and bop, bop, and, you know, that makes all of your value come to fruition. But this is a terrific terrific preview of the upcoming set, as we got here from Wizard of the Coast. So thank you very much for the free preview. That was awesome. And now we're going to move on and talk about some more cool cards. Unless you guys have anything else to share about the Phoenix.
No, I'm just really excited.
I mean, I'm just excited that we got a Phoenix that seems like it's good. Flying Haste and putting it onto the battlefield, like those are the earmarks of a good Phoenix. We've had Phoenix of Ash,
right,
which has seen standard play, has those earmarks. It's also a 2/2, but it can pump. Of course, Arc-like Phoenix sees play in other formats, in older formats, and has the same thing. This has a chance. I think that it is really dependent on what else there is in the set, how good the lesson cards are, and which lessons are good with this.
Well, speaking of
I
those,
think there's a non-0% chance.
It's true. Now, before we get into the many weird controversies that this set has somehow created,
the set has really been very scandal prone. It feels like it's been one thing out. It's been a week, and it's only been a week.
Yeah, there were multiple times I'm like, man, even if we just had to wait till Thursday, if we just went last night, we'd still have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Lots of things to choose from. But we want to talk about 3 cards from each of us that we wanted to highlight a little bit and how we felt about them. Go through these as quickly as we can here. So for my favorites here, you can see them on screen. If you're watching, my first is Multiple Choice. This is a rare sorcery for a blue and X. It does a lot of stuff, because every Magic card these days do. So if X is 1, you scry 1 and draw a card. If X is 2, you may choose a player. They return a creature they control to its owner's hand. If X is 3, you make a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. But if X is 4 or more, you do all of those things. All of the above. All of the above need to be on there.
This Magic, all of the above did need to be on there.
Yeah.
This Magic card makes me happy. This is a lot of the cards that are very clearly right on the edge of unset territory just make me happy inside, and I'm very glad that they leaned into the kind of goofiness.
Yeah, the all of the above is always a fantastic phrase on any multiple choice question, and they got it here as well. The second one I wanted to talk about here was the Elite Spellbinder.
Hollow.
Okay. Wizards of the friggin' Coast. Are you serious? Are you telling me, Mr. $400 million of profit, 400% profit, whatever increase, you're telling me the unbelievable amount of money that you have made over the past year? You are telling me this. You are explaining to me, explaining to Hasbro and their shareholders the value that you're bringing, and you cannot purchase this artwork for your world champion? Are you serious?
Yeah, we heard that Paulo does not have the original art for this because he could not afford it. Now let that sink in, that we will make a card of you, but we will ask you to then turn around and pay for it if you want it. That seems like a bit of a misfire.
$800 million in revenue, going on about how much money and profit you make off of it.
And you get to pay the artist for it, which is always
seriously,
nice. So.
That was just, are you kidding me? Look, I know that it's, from what I understand it, they're not loving on OP these days, and the OP guy quit or whatever, but this is just an unforced error. Buy the boy the freaking the portrait. Let's do it. What is wrong with you? Okay, so anyway, beyond that made me upset.
Card's dope.
Buy the paint. The card is dope because this is a 3 mana a white and 2 generic mana for a 3/1 rare human cleric. The boy waited a whole set. He could be in Kaldheim. He decided to be this. Yeah. So for this 3 mana 3/1, it's a flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, you look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it for as long as that card remains exiled. Its owner may play it. A spell cast this way costs 2 more to cast, and if it's quote unquote just 2 more, Elspeth Conquers Death has shown you that just 2 more is a lot when it comes to actual rhythm pacing of the game and being able to play what you want.
This card's pure tempo.
Yeah.
You look at your opponent's hand and you take their 1 copy of Shatter the Sky. Guess what? You're dead by the time they have 6 mana.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You take their one thing that matters, you make them trip up. Death and Taxes is built on cards like this. This card is probably going to be a Death and Taxes card in actual Legacy.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Humans card in Modern. It's going to be a huge player in Standard. I can't imagine it won't be. It's got 3 power and evasion for 3 mana on top of being a disruptive thing.
Right.
What a great card.
Yeah, and they've said before that they're still tinkering with white, because there's been a lot of feedback about how people feel that white isn't very good. And so if this is a sign that they're leaning into the taxes part of things, I think this is a really good step. And I think there's something else that has been previewed recently which leans into that. So this is great. I like that they're giving white an identity, or it appears that they are, and I like that this appears to be the one they're giving them.
Yeah, I think that the power of seeing your opponent's hand, being able to take the best spell and make it more expensive, and be able to blink this card at any time to do it again.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, this is a deck that already runs Thalia. You're already taxing people. You have Flicker Wisp. You have Either Vial. You know, there are ways to cheat this. There are ways to not pay for this. There are ways to blink this.
And it's a 3/1 flyer for 3 mana that
Which
takes the best thing out of your opponent's hand, which is Paulo's favorite card of all time, Vendilion Click. He gets to live his life as Vendilion Click for all time and be better because he's a human. He gets to be a human.
And Wizards,
incredible.
Buy the art. Buy the art. God almighty.
Give him the art.
Seriously. Why would you do that? Okay, all right. That just pisses me
Did
off.
he get a trophy for winning?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But the art, the original art with his face on it, it's going to be printed tens of thousands of
listen,
times.
It's a little awkward.
I understand.
Yeah.
Maybe whoever purchases it from Ryan Pancost will send it to Paulo. Maybe.
We'll work out something. I mean, because people are talking about, like, you know, I would contribute to a GoFundMe to buy the art for him. Yeah, but that we should never have to. We have a giant corporation that makes millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. That could
It's
just
like
be
when
like,
you see those
here's 10K
stories
for
on the
artwork.
news that are supposed to be heartwarming, where it's like 8-year-old girl with brain cancer sells enough popsicles to pay for her life-saving surgery, and that's not cute. Like that's not
dystopian.
beautiful.
That's dystopian.
That's horrible.
This isn't dystopian.
This isn't dystopian, but
just-
it's just messed up. I can't believe you would not want to do this for your world champion, whatever.
There's a
Okay.
group of MTG art buyers grouping up to buy it for him, says Pharmacist.
And that's
that's
cool.
lovely.
Because Wizards, I mean, first of all, how dare you? Seriously. First of all, how dare you? Messing with me, you're messing with me. That's all I'm saying. It's not cool. I thought better of Wizards than this, but all right. Mavinda, Student's Advocate, is my last card for a white and 2 generic mana. This awesome mythic. Oh my god. For 3 mana, you get a 2/3 legendary bird advisor with flying. And check out this ability. For 0:: you may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 generic mana more to cast this way. If that spell will be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only once each turn. So you still have to pay the spell's cost. You still have to pay the timer rules and stuff. Can't play sorceries at instant speed.
Sure.
But you get every instant or sorcery speed rebought from your graveyard at basically whenever you want. That's amazing.
This is a Snapcaster Bird. This is underwater, underworld bird reach.
Yes,
this is,
it's doing it. It's
this
doing
is
it.
Feather's best friend in the
Yawgmoth's
entire
Warble.
world.
Yes, the entire world is no better for Feather.
You get
than
to
this.
rebuy all your Defiant Strikes. You get to rebuy all your other, like, target creature gets +2/+2. You draw cards. Like, this card is amazing and also adorable. I love the art on it so much. Owl Professor is my favorite.
Owl, yeah, the Owl Advisor thing is incredible, and the rebuys are great, so that tickles, Erin's fancy, as it were, so we get to rebuy stuff out of the graveyard, which is great, which we're getting to here in a minute, but Ruben, tell me about your favorite cards.
Yeah, I am a big fan of the lessons in the set, and they did need to print a mythic lesson, and I was quite shocked by Mascot Exhibition, which I think is going to be a card, a one of in, like, every sideboard. Mascot Exhibition is every deck that wants a lesson. 7 colorless mana for a sorcery. You make a 2/1 black and white Inkling creature token with flying, a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token, and a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. So you make the 3 tokens from
different
3 different schools.
Right.
You've got your Lorehold Spirit, you've got your Elemental from Prismari, and you've got your Inkling from
Silverquill?
Silverquill, that's the one.
Yeah.
And so this is 9 power.
And 7
for
toughness?
7 mana across 3 bodies, and it's on a lesson, so you don't have to put it in your main deck. I think that this card is very, very, very good because you're going to want to. It's not a huge deck building requirement to have one of these in your sideboard. Some games are going to go long, and some games you're going to be like, well, my game plan, was to get a 2-mana lesson and then win the game with, like, interesting interplay, but sometimes you just need 3 bodies, and I think this card's just very good.
This card just goes with anything that has a lesson card in it. It's like, a learn card in it. You're like, well, I might as well throw one in. Like,
right.
You never know when you need 9 power, 7 toughness across 3 bodies. Who knew?
It's a little strange that they didn't give us a fractal
With
with a +1/+1 counter on it. But you know what? I'm okay with that. It's fine.
That's the
card's
bridge too far.
great as is.
It is, yes. Next.
So we were talking about the adorableness of the bird, and the bird is very adorable. But
True.
this set is full of adorable things, and the most adorable thing, I think, in the set so far is my book friend Cody, the Vociferous.
This thing is terrifying.
Cody Vociferous Codex. No, it's adorable.
It's
How
nightmare
dare you?
fuel.
Cody Vociferous Codex is a legendary artifact creature construct. It's a 1/4 that says you can't cast permanent spells. Pay 4 colorless tap : add Wooburg. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put each other card exiled this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, here's what we're doing. Erin, I know how to bring you back. What we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a commander deck, and Cody is going to be our commander.
Oh, no.
The deck is going to have a bunch of mana rocks in it, right? It's going to have a bunch of signets because we don't cascade into the signets with Cody's ability.
Okay.
It's also going to have a bunch of cycling creatures. Are you with me yet?
I'm here.
It's going to have a bunch of cycling creatures because we don't
hand is on
cascade
the
into
doorknob.
those.
Okay.
And we're going to play only 2 mana spells as our lowest mana cost, no 1 mana spells, and we're always cascading into Living End.
I can pick up what you're putting down.
Yeah? Are we
Yeah.
on board? We're going to rampant growth into Living End is what we're going to do.
Did you know that Living End has been putting up results in Modern lately? Like, it's doing really well.
Know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's great.
Anyway, I think that this card's great, and it is baby, and I think you can also get Cody as a pet on Magic Arena, which I am here for. I think this card is super cool.
The card is super cool because it gives you a Wooburg commander that isn't just play the best, most efficient whatever's in all
Yes.
the colors. It's here's a thing you can do. It's an entire theme deck made for you, good to go. Like, you can't cast permanent spells, so make it interesting. This lets you make it interesting.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. What else you got?
So, once upon a time, and theoretically we still have this segment, but once upon a time we had a segment called Going Infinite, where we would bring up a question, and we would say, what needs to happen for this to be a thing? What if this happened? What if we did this? And one of our questions was, how good of a card does a creature have to be to have, or how big does a creature have to be in order for it to see play just based on how big it is? Right? And I think we're going to get an answer. At least we're going to get a point on the graph with body of research.
Yeah.
Body of research is green, 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 blue, blue, blue for a sorcery. You make a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, and you put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of cards in your library.
That's a mythic right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is a mythic spell.
That is a mythical spell.
No evasion, though.
No evasion.
No evasion. This was...
we're going to need a lot of dice for this fractal. We're also going to need a copy of Fling and Kozul's Fury.
Yes.
Yeah,
like
Kozul's Fury right here in standard, ready to go.
Yep.
I mean, there was always... This was a conversation that happened in R&D when I spoke to him many, many years ago, which was, what vanilla numbers need to be there?
Yeah.
No other abilities, no trample, no evasion. What numbers need to be
this
there for
thing
people
gets
to actually play
stonewalled by
this
a
thing?
1/1.
Yes, it can. Unless you give it trample, and then we're all good.
Or flying or
just
whatever.
fling it. Just fling it. They even put
There's
it in
a
the
way
format.
to do it.
I think
Get
It's
creative.
incredible. Yeah. This is a 6/6 card.
Yeah, it's super fun also, and the whole point of Quandrix is to have different powers and toughnesses, and you're going to have a tough time finding a better 43-43 for your golden ratio deck.
Yeah, and then you have the Ozolith or whatever out there, so you can make sure you never really lose the counters.
Oh, the Ozolith is cute with this card.
Oh, you can get real fun.
That's nice.
And real
I
silly.
like that.
Yeah. There's lots of +1/+1 fun going around. All right. Erin, tell us about your cards.
So I feel like I need to be honest with everybody. I tend to share details of my life with you, and I'm very honest with you all. And I want to come out right here, right now, in front of you all. Mm-hmm. I want to come out as a red-white player, as a Boros player. Wow. I am now Boros.
Wow.
Forget what you've heard. No more Golgari. I've turned over a new A new leaf, a new spirit, if you will.
You can still be Golgari. You'll just also be Lorehold.
That's true. But you guys remember when I didn't even hang up the mountain? I mean, there was a time where I didn't even play red cards. I didn't even acknowledge red was a color. I am all in at this point. I am completely here for Lorehold. The Lorehold preview day was the most exciting day for me. And one of the first cards that came out that day was Venerable Warsinger, which is 1 colorless, a red and a white. It's a creature type spirit cleric with Vigilance and Trample. Whenever this card deals combat damage to a player, you may return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of damage the Warsinger has dealt to that player. So this is graveyard colors. This is the graveyard guild or school of the set, and so I'm completely here for this. I love the spirit sub theme. There's a lot of spirits in this guild or school, which I really enjoy. And it's a fresh take on graveyards. You know, it's not simply a retread of Golgari. It's still fresh and exciting. You can bring back spells, you can bring back artifacts, and so I'm completely in love with the Lorehold. And this was the first card where I was like, holy crap.
This was definitely the first card where I was like, my god, okay, like reanimation is happening. It's based on damage, which is interesting. I guess they get to play with the graveyard now. That's what Boros gets to do.
It also can bring back copies of itself, which is huge.
Goodness gracious.
Very, very big fan of this card. And two popular creature types of spirit and cleric as well.
It's true.
The ability that it can get back itself, just a real quick note, the ability that it can get itself back to me says they just don't care if it's that good and constructed. They're like, whatever, get back more copies, because in Commander this thing's awesome.
That, but then they're going to like reprint Leyline in this set. Like, you know how Wizards is. They just can't let graveyard players have their toys. So I'm waiting for it to come down the pike of like, just to shut me down.
Where's the lesson of just like 0: exile a graveyard?
There was the one that they gave Reed one that was like target player discards 2 cards and then exiles their graveyard, which was rude.
Go blank. Yeah,
that was
best
nasty.
mind rot ever.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
My second card is a really, really exciting card. Obviously, Cathartic Reunion was huge. Immediately saw play in Modern Dredge. And, we really wondered if we would ever get something that good again. And we just might get there with my second choice, which is Thrilling Discovery. So Thrilling Discovery is a red and a white. It's a sorcery. You gain 2 life. Then you may discard 2 cards. And if you do, draw 3 cards. This is Cathartic Reunion with life gain. Like, are you serious? The only downsides that I can see about this is the mana cost is very restrictive. You do need that exactly red and white. And if this does get countered, you don't get to discard the cards. The nice thing about Reunion is you still get to discard at least. So if they counter it, you're like, okay,
I love that that's a drawback for Erin. Is that if they counter it, you don't discard 2 cards. As if 3-for-1ing yourself is a downside. It's hilarious.
So this is really, really exciting. I just never thought we would see this again. We thought that I just never thought they would ever give us discard and draw on this scale ever again, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, card is absolutely terrific in that it just need, some cards just need a little bit of bump. There's a little something to make them more interesting or exciting than they used to be, and that's okay.
And my last card, if we are going to play a graveyard school or guild, you need a way to fill up your graveyard. And Boros or Lorehold has a fresh take on that as well. If the previous card doesn't do it for you, this one might. This is Lorehold Excavation, which is also a red and a white. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, mill a card. If the card milled was a land, you gain 1 life. Otherwise, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. That is each opponent. So if you're playing Commander or 2-headed Giant, this adds up. And you can also pay 5 colorless and exile a creature card from the graveyard to create a tapped 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So this mills you and also has a way to benefit from things that you mill, because that's always a bummer when you're playing graveyard decks, right? Is sometimes you discard things you didn't mean to and you can't get no value out of them. Maybe you don't have flash flashback, or you don't have anything else. You're still getting something out of this. And so this is great in the early game, great in the late game, great in multiplayer formats. And I'm completely here for this. Like, I love this school so much, and I'm already brewing. Like, I love it.
I certainly was not expecting red white enchantment mill 1 card every turn. Like, what?
I love it. It's such a fresh take on this, and I'm so happy.
And the Indiana Jones, the Mummy from 1999 flavor of Lorehold is spectacular and fun. And shout out to Nizahone, who was the one who previewed Lorehold Excavation, someone that I use a lot when I'm making my top 10 lists, and makes very excellent content as well.
Nice. There you go. All right. So that's sort of moving on past our picks to discuss for this week and, of course, our free preview. Thanks much for that, Wizards. But now it's time to go into some more stuff about Strixhaven. There's been, of course, lots more previews, but we got there. But there's some Japanese alternate art cards that we discussed in the Mystical Archive, which are cool.
They're
incredible.
Except Memory Lapse and Ephemerate have the wrong art. Somebody got them swapped around, and that was unfortunate, and it was like, oops, screwed it up. And Wizards is like, we've already kind of printed everything, so sorry.
These all got dumped on, I think it was Saturday night. It was at night, because I think it was Japanese time. But I remember laying in bed either Saturday night or Sunday night, and just gorgeous. There's not a single bad one in that batch.
I mean, they're amazing.
They're all just incredible. The Faithless Looting knocked it out of the park. And there were, I think, over almost a dozen. Oh my God, they're just so good.
60 something of them. 60?
So many of them, yeah, and none of them are bad. None of them.
Yeah,
no, they're all incredible. Absolutely terrific. So those, again, apart from swapping the artwork, those went okay. Now, what didn't go okay was a tweet that showed up on March 28th from OMG Scary Pet on Twitter. I'll go ahead and bring this up here because why not? You know what I'm saying? Bring this up here on the screen. You guys can take a look at it. We'll just go ahead and together. We'll experience this. If you're watching the show, we'll take a look at this minute and 5 second here, real fast. Let's put it right there. Okay. So someone's like, you surprised, you got to be on a Magic card, right? And they looked up the Magic card as the Crux of Fate, and they're like, that's weird. They made this in 2016. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
This was very uncomfortable.
So the TLDW
watch.
of this is that Jason Felix appears to have taken this person's art for Nicol Bolas and put it onto their card, their version of Crux of Fate. And not only that, Jason Felix also appeared to have borrowed Ugin from Raymond Swanland, who had done a version of this before. And so there are two artists that he appears to have copied, quite honestly, and you can see from this video down to the positioning, the claws, even though the body doesn't necessarily match, well, when you tilt it, the puzzle piece fits. And so there was really no denying that this was what it was. And I talked to Vorthos Mike when the story broke, and there was really no precedent for this. Like, he was like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, where someone has just so blatantly stolen images like this on a Magic card. We've seen various takes on characters that are similar. I mean, there's only so many ways that you can draw Liliana or Chandra or things like that. But to this degree, where it just lines up perfectly, this had never happened before.
Yeah, you can do your own take, obviously, but you watch the video, you watch the clip, and there are two takeaways. First of all, Evan needs to get dark mode. The second takeaway, that was my main takeaway from that clip. The second takeaway is that there's no denying that it's an exact carbon copy. This is art theft. There's no other way up. There's no way around it. This is literally plagiarism. In the school set, which is interesting. Yeah,
isn't it? Isn't that crazy? So they're 3 days later, yesterday afternoon, Jason Felix tweeted. Let's check it out here. He says, Crux of Fate. I've waited to make a public response because I wanted to reach out to the affected artists Kit LaPena and Raymond Swanland and Vociferous. I was overworked, but that's no excuse. I messed up and I'm trying to make amends. He continues, I will be compensating the artists and hope to advocate for their names to be on the card instead of my own. The artists do not deserve this. It's not much and I don't expect forgiveness. And lastly, but I hope it's a step towards being better. I'm so sorry this ever happened and to let down the fans.
Okay.
So
Erin.
I think this is, at first glance, I think this is a fine apology. He appears to acknowledge that he did something wrong. He says what he's going to do to make it better, that he's going to see to it that the artists are compensated and then they do get credit for this. And then he does pledge to do better in the future. So he does check off a lot of the boxes that a good apology requires. But one thing that really stood out to people is that he doesn't explicitly say what he did. He acknowledges that he messed up somehow. And in the last tweet, he says, I'm sorry this ever happened, but there's no actual actual statement of, I stole this art, or I took images I wasn't supposed to. So it is a little bit murky as to what exactly he's apologizing for or making amends for. But, I think it's fine. Like, I don't think ultimately it's not up to us, as long as the people who are affected are fine with this. And it sounds like they are, then that's really enough for me. But, I can certainly have the opinion that it's a fine apology, but I do think there's a glaring hole where acknowledgement should be of, like, what exactly did you do?
Well, what exactly did you do? I mean, I think the idea, man, like to me, and this is what we discussed in the pre-show. For me, to me it was like, I cannot believe as a professional artist, this person signs contracts. This person's been doing this for years. This livelihood. He decided to just flush down credibility because he was overworked. Because you had a deadline, you can't communicate said deadline and say there's a problem. You just can't do it. Because let me tell you, saying I just can't do it is a million times better than what just happened here. Like, I do wonder
what was going on behind the scenes, though. I would imagine I'm not an artist, so I can't say for sure, but I would imagine the artist lifestyle is full of multiple jobs, like multiple commissions and deadlines. And so I can understand how somebody might have been a little stressed out or overworked, but this has never happened before. And so I do question, I'm curious about what was happening behind the scenes to where he felt like this was the only option he had.
And this is not just any artist. This is Jason Felix, who's done 139 cards, including All Is Dust, Hydroid Krasis, and Laboratory Maniac, among others.
Also he was on our short list for a new top 10.
That's right. And
he really was.
It's such an awkward thing to talk about and try to cover. And objectively speaking, so we can look at the apology objectively and in practice. Objectively, the apology is like C+, right? Because it doesn't actually say sorry. It doesn't. It
he
seems
does say
a little,
sorry, but he doesn't say what he's sorry for. It's just It's just a random, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
what are you sorry for? Like for leaving out the bread?
But in practice, it seems like those that were wronged in the exchange, it seems, have accepted the apology.
Good.
Right?
OMG Scary Pet did tweet out yesterday that they said they were in communication with Jason and the people at Wizards Magic, so that's a good thing.
Good.
That the people at Magic and themselves are working something out, which is also awesome.
Good.
Thanks people for being supported and whatnot. It's a very humbling experience for all artists and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, Twitter, YouTube, etc. has done a very thorough job of castigating Jason. That as we express our anger, disappointment, outrage, I do not advocate online bullying or harassment.
And they even said that in the initial tweet. When they first posted the video, they were like, I'm not coming for anybody, but like, I do think this is curious. And so this artist in particular handled it with an incredible amount of grace that they didn't necessarily have to. And they've played this very well.
It's true. So they came out looking like $1 million.
I think that, unfortunately, as we will cover in our next story, the art and art credits, that cat's out of the bag. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube on it.
Yeah. So I'll get us back here to our main shot here. As I bring up, there was a piece of artwork that came out over I think it was on Monday was when this one showed up, from the Mystical Archive, right? And this was posted, and after it was posted, gosh, it could have been like even last Friday, but either way, it was posted, and when someone posts it, they said, "Is this real? I don't believe it."
The Faithless Looting?
Yeah.
Yes. And I said, this to me, so look, and we'll get into
the artwork. You going to put it up on screen? Or?
I'm definitely going to put it on the screen. Give me a second. But what I want to know is, to get this out. Look, this is the best example I have ever seen in my life. And I've played Magic for a very long time. I'm 40 now. This is the best example I've ever seen in my life. In an image that looks cool, full art, and an image that looks terrible in a magic, little tiny magic box.
Yep.
I'll get it on screen. You guys tell us about your reactions to the Faithless Looting.
I thought it was shopped too, because this was a card that I really wanted to be in historic, and so when the news first came out, and I've seen Wyatt Darby, I've played against him in person. My first thought was maybe this was part of his preview card, because what a lot of people don't know is you have a lot of carte blanche when you're given a preview card as to how you reveal it. Like, you can really do whatever you want to do, and so some people may dress up as their card, some people may do riddles, or they may do things like that. I thought maybe he just put some images on him and said, I'm Faithless Looting. Like, that's what I first thought. And I was like, is this real? Is this what he did? And then people were like, this is the actual factual card. And then I realized that it appears to be more of like a pop art kind of thing, where it's meant to be sort of modern. And especially when you see the rest of the artist's portfolio, it really starts to make sense. But if you're looking at this just simply compared to the other cards, it does stand out a little bit like a sore thumb. And, you know, I can understand why people were really, really confused by this.
I think that... Oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Jinx, you owe me Coke. I think that personally, this is...
Evan, we still don't have it on stream.
And
I know, I'm working on it. Give me 2 seconds.
This is the closest we've ever gotten to a true modern art style on a Magic card, which I'm in favor of. However, the reaction from the perceived audience, particularly on social media, was not favorable, and I think that it is going to mean that we are not going to get any more, because
I don't think that's the case at all.
I'm not exactly sure if that's the case. So let's go ahead. Let's bring it up on the screen. I've got all the stuff set up now.
Well.
All right. So this was essentially Magic the Gathering fans react to controversial Faithless Looting artwork design. Now, this to me says, if you show me a card and the first thing, the whole community, it wasn't like just ran over here, ran over there. Literally, the first thing everyone said was, I don't believe this is real. This is not correct, not real. Now, if you go and you look at, and I bring up here on the screen, look up Harmonize. I mean, the Harmonize is cool. The Harmonize is fine. Nobody blinked an eye at this. No one said this doesn't look like a Magic card. No one says that the composition doesn't look, like correct or whatever. Yeah. No problem at all. Same artist. But if you take the piece of art and you put it in this little tiny box, it doesn't look correct when you see the whole thing, which I have here somewhat on screen. Here on the right side, you see, this is the whole piece. The whole piece makes sense. Like the red and sort of it's on top of the body and the flames coming up and how they work into the smoke. All of that makes sense. But I swear to God, you somehow made it the most jarring thing I've ever seen in my life when you put it on a Faithless Looting card. Like, what happened there?
And it's traditional style. Like,
I think I think it might have gone over better if it had been revealed with cards that were similar to it. But because it was so different, we had seen the Japanese cards come out. It obviously didn't fit in with that. It certainly wasn't fitting in with what was happening in Strixhaven, like the main set. And so I can understand why people were a little leery. Like, perhaps if this had been, I think if it had been like Secret Layer this, or if the archive were all cards like this, I don't think anybody would have batted an eyelash. But it just stood out so much from what was already out there that I think it was to be expected that there were going to be some people that were like, I don't understand.
I honest to God, I thought it was like a weird Photoshop and we're being punked, or whatever. And I'm like, guys, I think and again, I saw the full art and I'm like, I get it. I saw what the artist is doing. That's cool. But when you popped it down to Magic card size, not okay. So, all right. So you have this artwork as your Faithless Looting artwork, which is, if not like disturbing, certainly it's jarring. It's different. And then the other half of this, and this is the part that we didn't really talk about so much about because people were so outraged or freaked out by the artwork, which was, we're going to have to craft and use 4 rare wild cards for our 4 Faithless Looting in Arena. You get to do that now. You get to craft 4 more rare wild cards to get your 4 Brainstorms on Arena. And this being, again, you don't like this Faithless Looting artwork or whatever, you're just kind of stuck with it. You don't like using your rare wild cards for what should be a common or uncommon wild card. Tough stuff. So this is where I was discussing in the pre-show. I got your fix. All right, I have the fix. Wizards is not going to do this, but this is the fix I would choose in a perfect world, and we do things for the players and blah, blah, blah. This is the fix. The fix is this. You use alternate artworks. You say you can craft the rare version that looks like this, or you can craft the common version from Dark Ascension or where it was from. You do the same thing with Brainstorm. You can get the Ice Age Brainstorm that was common, or you can get the Sweet Brainstorm with this, the flare and everything around it for the rare wild card. You get the best of both worlds, therefore you don't have to like grind your rare wild cards into Brainstorms, but you also don't get the sweet artwork with that. But you can still get your Brainstorms and get your Faithless Lootings, and again, also get your Faithless Lootings without this artwork. I would prefer it with not out. Again, nothing against the artist. I just don't like it so jarring to me. I would love the previous artwork, and I would like to fix that problem of, hey, you're going to have to burn God knows how many rare and mythic wild cards to play these cool cards in Historic, if that's what you want to do.
I think that is a good idea. I think that Erin and I are not the audience. that are going to care about the economy of Magic Arena. But it's a good idea.
But I do. I care.
It's a cool idea.
I'll take
But we're also not done with art drama from the Mystical Archive.
Oh boy. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were going to...
Take it and run.
No, I'll take it. Hey, guess what? The Japanese Mystical Archive is super dope, but unfortunately, there is a little bit of a snafu. The third art-related snafu of the Mystical Archive this week, apparently, is that the artist of Ephemerate and Memory Lapse said that, those are they're in the wrong spaces. You put the column A in the column B, you did the wrong, see, they wanted it backwards, and then they didn't get it backwards. Right. It's awkward.
Yeah, and we have all those images. We talked about it a little bit before, and when you see the English versions of them, it makes a lot of sense. Let me see if I can bring them up on screen for you right now.
I think it makes... I mean, if you look at the art for Ephemerate and for Memory Lapse from the Japanese archives, or the Japanese archive versions, you can see how it could be mistaken. Right. However... If you have quality control and you have multiple people looking at it, you see that one of them has a book that's very clearly supposed to be Memory Lapse, and one of them has weird Venetian blinds happening, and that's supposed to be Ephemerate. So this is a pretty brutal mistake. Again, we're not going to be able to put the toothpaste back in the tube on this one, but there you go.
Right. So
I have a confession to make. Every time I see Ephemerate, my brain always reads it as effeminate, and then I get really sad that it's not effeminate.
Well, effeminate has two F's in it, and ephemerate has PH in it.
I know, but it'd be way more fun.
Right.
I would play effeminate.
Sure, we can play effeminate. We can put effeminate in the next unset, and it'll be very similar to ephemerate, and it will have the art from Memory Lapse.
Right, so you can see Ephemerate and then the Memory Lapse with art clearly with
wonderful.
Man on top.
Make it happen.
Yeah. And then this would be Ephemerate that should have white mana symbols, but it don't. It's whatever. It's another unfortunate, weird problem with the set, which is strange.
Do you guys think that I've read some conspiracy theories that some people have suggested that because it does seem like we're noticing a lot more issues. There were issues with Time Spiral Remastered where we heard stories of entire rarities being left out of boxes and boxes that were exactly the same. And Evan, you mentioned that there were a number of boxes that cool stuff opened, and you had a very low number, if none, of the old border foils. And so people are starting to wonder if the fact that Wizards is putting out so many products, are they getting sloppy? Do you guys think that's the case?
I mean, you can't bump up so much production, basically doubling the amount of Magic cards you're making every year, give or take, and not have, kind of these tiny problems build up over and over time.
Right. I mean, it connects to a thing that we were going to talk about later, but I'm going to bring it up now, which is a tweet from Cube April, or a couple tweets from Cube April, that says that there have been 6,086 new cards in 2020, which is more than 10% of Magic's lifetime total in a year. Which is
be reprints though too,
astronomical.
Right? Reprints. Yeah.
1,405 new cards, which is 6.33% of all of the new cards ever printed.
All the unique cards,
all the unique cards ever printed, which is about twice at the rate you'd expect for each year of the 27 years of Magic.
Right. They have basically doubled everything at this point. And it's a lot, and a lot of these mistakes are slipping through. And we found 2 or 3 of them so far, and maybe we'll find some more. One thing I wanted to bring up about the set, which I thought was really interesting, which is an option here I found on Amazon to have a minimal packaging version of the Commander deck. This doesn't have...
Yeah, because people had concerns about that there was so much plastic and that the box was obnoxious, and then you had... I get it, totally.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think Wizards kind of wants to move to in many ways, but I'd never seen it... I'd never seen this type of product ever before, where they're just like, you know what? It's the deck, it's the cards, you know what's in it. It's a white box.
Yeah.
I like it. This is a great This is a great decision. Good job, Wizards of the Coast. Put one in the good guys column.
They did a good thing, and I like to give them kudos when they do. So we'll give that happen. Make that happen, rather. All right, cool. Anything else you guys want to touch on the set before we move on? Go for it.
I want to say that there was a discussion on social media based on treatment of Asian stereotypes as it pertains to the set. We do not feel, as hosts of Magic Mics, or I don't feel, as host of Magic Mics, that it is my place to make the comments on this. However, it was part of the news story this week.
And we'll certainly point you in the right direction. So,
yes.
Kiln Fiend Potter on Twitter, my lovely friend Michelle, she was the one that's really been keeping an eye on this sort of thing and bringing these attentions to light. And it does appear that there are several concerns. And so, if you do want to follow that discussion, we would encourage you to follow her on Twitter. And it has branched out into the mainstream media. There are other geek circles that are talking about this. And, there are people from all sides of the community that have their opinions on that, and they're worth listening to. So,
yeah. And and one last thing I want to point on here was there's a delay in Strixhaven, and we've actually felt this at Cool Stuff, which is we've basically stopped selling draft booster boxes because we can't seem to be getting any. And they finally came out and said, look, due to unexpected production issues, some draft booster boxes and Japanese language set boosters will be delayed, so those products are going to be far more expensive at release. The Japanese booster boxes are going to be super expensive as well, and we're going to make them more available after release on April 23rd. Working on when they're going to be here, whenever that happens. Big, huge question marks. So it'll even out over time. We had this very similar issue with Zendikar, which was all you could find was set booster boxes.
I blame it on the ship in the Suez Canal,
and it's probably that dumb ship. We just don't know.
Oh no!
Just millions of booster boxes stuck in Egypt, like 3% of the world's economy. Unbelievable.
There you go. All right, so that's unfortunate. Now, over this past weekend, as we move on to Gather the Townsfolk, there was a Kaldheim Championship. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I didn't really follow it too closely. I did catch clips and moments. Like there did appear to be some really next level plays happening. I did catch some of the personalities that were doing well, but I didn't follow it that closely.
The top 8 was stacked.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it was pretty stacked.
The average, the worst player in the top 8 has multiple GP wins. Like it was insane how good the top 8 of this tournament was. Also, I for what I can gather, the buzz around this tournament, the Kaldheim Championships, was significantly more buzzed than previous tournaments.
Sure.
It seemed like there were more viewers. It seemed like there was more Twitter chatter. It seemed like there was more social media attention paid to it. And it seemed like the tournament went off without a hitch, essentially.
Yeah, there was also a bit of discussion surrounding the mods, which has been kind of brewing for a while. We've talked about how the mods for Wizard streams, there's a bit of a power struggle where you have these volunteer mods like Ian Dixon and, Cook the Fourth and people like that who do this just because that's their contribution to the community. And then you have the official WotC mods where, there's really no communication between the two. There's really, the volunteers are not being compensated. They feel that they should be. And so Ian Dixon had posted a tweet where this was another attempt to say, hey, we feel that we're providing a service. The streams are getting larger. The labor that we're providing is more significant. We feel that we should be compensated for this. And it opened up the discussion again of, should mods be compensated? Yes, they should be. And this was their attempt to try to get that.
I mean, I would need to go back to the stats to make 100% sure, but from what I recall, this was not a very successful event. It was only seen by, I think, 25K at the max. This is a far cry from previous Pro Tours, not just like World Championships or whatever.
Oh, we're still nowhere near Pro Tour levels.
Right, we're not back where we were. And this was, we're entering the esports world and we're going to change everything and, everyone's going to know your name and whatever. And suddenly the OP guy is out to new pastures or whatever. This kind of happens, and it's cool because again, I love high level Magic. There was a lot of really cool next level. They know they're playing around such and such plays that were fantastic, and obviously congrats to the champion here, Arnie Huschenbeth. Did a fantastic job.
You can say Arnie Huschenbeth, but you can't say T.S. Salowick. Make it make sense.
I don't know why my brain works the way it does.
He may have practiced. He may have practiced Huschenbeth.
I was in the mirror just in the morning, just saying it over and over again. But the thing is, I mean, for me is that, I'm a firm believer, and I've said this before throughout the year, is that I believe that mods are as essential as judges, as essential as vendors, as essential as food. You would never dream of hosting an event without these people. And I think that for far too long, there's been this attitude of, well, if we have mods, it's fine. No, if you do not have mods, you do not go live. It is as simple as that. And if you ever hope to be diverse, like if you're going to put diversity as one of your directives or your goals, you have to have the moderation to back them up, because otherwise women will not feel comfortable on stream, non-male competitors will not feel comfortable on stream, people who are not white will not feel comfortable on stream. Like this will not be a good thing.
Well, first of all, Pharmacist Judge, you are good enough and smart enough, and doggone it, you're a great mod. Mm-hmm. But I don't expect that to change. I'm not trying to just be negative. I'm just trying to the reality of someone goes to a Wizards executive and says, I need to pay these, Twitch mods or whatever. And they're like, well, what's Twitch doing? You're like, well, it's been down year over year for 2 or 3 years in a row now. OP's kind of in the tank.
It's also a place where people can respond to your product in real time, and it's still a very visible part of your... Even if you think it's going down, it's still a very visible part of your advertising.
And it's also played into more larger controversies. Remember when Jerry stepped down, or when Jerry backed out of that one event? They weren't given any clear directives as to what they were supposed to do, and that ended up turning into a fiasco because you had the volunteer mods who were being told, let the Jerry supporters have their say. They should be allowed to do this. And then you had the official Wizard mods that were just banning people. And so they took a situation that might have gone over pretty quietly, Jerry leaving, and then it turned into this sort of, free Jerry thing. And had the moderators been, had been managed correctly, it wouldn't have turned into a PR disaster.
Right. And that was also one of those classic Wizards communication, issues that we've seen over the years.
There's also a layer when you're working or you have a Twitch channel that is owned by and operated by a corporation as opposed to by a streamer. Right. I'm still, we're still seeing Ludwig streaming his subathon that started 3 weeks ago.
Oh, seriously?
And he has about 60K viewers right now. We're coming up on the end, probably. But the point is that he has mods, and he runs his own business, and I know that his mods don't get paid, because they've had that discussion on stream many times. But when you're a corporation, when you're a division now of Hasbro, you have a whole different responsibility. You have a whole different hierarchy that you need to respond to. So I think that it's something that they need to pay attention to and consider seriously.
Mm-hmm. Right, and this is one of those things where I'm not trying to be evil or whatever. I'm just or devil's advocate.
We can tell because you keep repeating that same statement.
I'm just saying. I want to understand on the other side of things how you make that argument. That's all I'm saying. All right. Let's move on, y'all, to our next topic, which is some desperate ravings. Not a ton of stuff, because we talked about a lot of it, quite frankly. Let's see. Fix for the Rare Mythic. We talked about that.
Yes.
Companies.
Yeah. This was excellent.
Companies are the only people I feel at this point who can get into April Fools in any way and have it be funny or interesting in any way. But the Magic Japan crew. Can
we just talk about the Magic Japan crew in general? The trailer that they put out. I mean, they are killing it on every level. Just brilliance.
Yes, I'm curious. I don't think it's up anymore. I think it was up just for the one day. But I'll bring on screen the screenshot. It's
still
that Gavin
April
took.
Fool's Day in California or
this
Seattle.
is Japan, though.
This is Japanese time.
It may be down For Japan, yeah, that makes sense.
But what it did was it had this long scroll of like, we're trying to figure out how we should show you the information for Magic and how do we do this the right way. And like we figured out the way to do it. And then bam, like GeoCities 1996 just comes running at you. It was amazing.
It reminded me of the Star Wars opening of like you had just the basic black and white scrolling text that was like, we've heard your feedback. We know you're not happy. You know, the information should be like, you know, easy to understand. And then you go to this GeoCities looking thing, and it was just so good. It was
perfect.
So good.
All the links worked. There was the counter of how many people have visited the page. Oh my god, it was perfect.
And it worked too. And you know, the little things that I loved so much were the GIFs with like the 3 images that were like so weirdly different. It was awkward. The images that were squeezed because, you know, all the images were wrongly sized back in the day. Oh my god, it was just so
perfect.
much.
It was just chef's kiss. Perfect
so
execution.
And
I
also,
had a lot of
fun with this one.
I feel like this would be the only way that I could make a Magic top 8 is being on somebody's MySpace page.
Wow. You, Tom. There you go.
That's a joke. That's a joke for people over the age of 32.
Sorry, half the chat.
Oh my god.
Sorry, at least half the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, we are so running late in our ages at this point. So let's move on here. Turn the corner to the finisher, which means first we get to choose a winner for our giveaway.
Can I just squeeze in one more thing before we go? It's very quick. Did you guys happen to see this tweet? I'm going to put it in the chat from the Magic Online account. So they snuck this tweet in the other day. And they basically just said, if you're looking for help with Magic Online, you should contact Wizards Help or file a ticket. We can't help you. This is the official Magic Online account.
No one showed me this. Are you serious?
People were like, so what exactly do you do? And they were just like, announcements, basically. I'm sorry.
Announcements mostly, the occasional joke. Are you kidding me?
The official Magic Online account says we cannot help you with Magic Online. I'm sorry. It just cracks me up. And the response.
Wow.
I wish I had been able to process this off of a live stream.
Oh my God.
I'm processing this literally at Raspberry. Are you kidding me? What is happening? Look, man, Magic Online has been freaking me out for a while because they ended their beta program a little while ago, and there for a hot minute, for like 2-3 weeks, they just didn't post deck lists, which was also like really freaky. And then all of a sudden we're hearing about, we can't help you with Magic Online from the Magic Online account.
I knew that Wizards Help was I knew that Wizards Help was one of the aliases that you should use, but I've just never seen a brand just come out and say, we cannot help you.
Refreshing honesty is what that is.
Mostly.
You know what? I appreciate their candor.
Announcements mostly, the occasional joke, you're on your own. All right? That's what's going on here.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
From the It Sucks to Be You category, it sucks to be you. Oops. Oh my God. Okay, well, that was exciting. Thank you for that. Was not expecting
welcome.
that. All right, so let's turn the corner here to the finisher. Well, fellow professors, we've reached the end of our school year. Our hashtag-sponsored preview, Retriever Phoenix, is now assigned reading, and our students are ready. So tell me, at this commencement of the end of our show, what wisdom do you wish to impart on our graduating students, Ruben?
Students, be the change you wish to see in the world. That quote was originally said by someone that isn't Mahatma Gandhi. So my big lesson as you go out into the world is that no matter how much people think of you already, let people think you're even better than you actually are.
Fake it till you make it.
Work those angles, that's right. Erin?
Students, as we go on, remember all the times we had together. And as our lives change, come whatever, we will still be friends forever. Well, unless you say your commander deck is like a 5 and you kill the table on turn 4, then we're not friends.
Then you're not friends. What did you do? What's going on? Look,
we need
students...
to communicate.
That's right. Students, I've been tenured in the Magic community for a long time. I've seen hundreds of wizards pass through these halls, and if there's one lesson I've learned, it's this. Be patient. Be kind. And when in doubt, turn them sideways.
That's right.
Hashtag
Always be
5
attacking.
kids.
Yeah.
Hey,
wow.
Whoa, hey, wow.
like it. That was
went
excellent.
somewhere unexpected. But
That was, well, I mean, it went somewhere very expected.
it went somewhere very expected.
With good timing.
That's true. And
Vitamin
that is-
C, good catch, Taya.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it. So we famously don't read the jokes until it's time. Had I known that in advance, I would have sang. I would have been like,
I thought it sounded a little bit like it.
Yeah, it's good. I like that they don't read the jokes ahead of time. It lets me like
it does get
sprinkle
us
in
in some
some
trouble sometimes when you're like halfway
landmines.
through and you're like, uh-oh.
I'm always surprised. I'm like, oh,
I
turn
enjoy it
sideways,
quite a
huh?
bit.
Cool. Well, I want to thank. That ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful holiday weekend. We got Good Friday and Easter. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you, Ruben.
Happy Passover,
Passover.
to my fellow tribes out there, and I'm going to shine the lenses that don't exist in these glasses. So that's how I'm going to end the show.
Very nice. Smart. Move here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and our newest sponsor, Alter Sleeves. Get yours at altersleeves.com/magicmics. My co-hosts, Erin Campbell and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online and on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.